Okay, so the sound should be a little bit better now because I put a damper thingy on the thing on the mic. And I hope my camera doesn't go out. Alright, so we have 21 chapters left. We're on chapter 45. So I'm just going to jump right into it. The longer the video, the harder it is for my camera to keep up. So, chapter 45. Geneva, Switzerland. Alright, so they did actually send Mitch after Svet's. My camera. It's weird. Geneva, Switzerland. When it was all done, Rapp would swear that he felt the zip of the bullet as it passed his left temple. It was that close. The only thing that saved him was the awkward movement that the Libyan made as he drew his pistol. The fake was weak. He looked over his left shoulder a bit too dramatically, and then swung back to his right, drawing his gun, his long overcoat flaring like a matador's cape. The other reason Rapp didn't fall for it was that mean old cuss, Stan Hurley. It was the first time Rapp could honestly say that he was grateful for all the shit Hurley had heaped on him. All of that damn methodical, shitty training paid off in the split second it took Ismael to draw his gun and turn on him. The fact that Rapp didn't want to kill the wrong man also contributed to the harsh reality that he was now cowering behind a Swiss mailbox, rounds of an undetermined caliber thudding into the metal receptacle at an alarming rate. And Hurley had been right, of course. He had told them that there were two ways to win a gunfight. Either land the first shot or find cover and conserve your ammunition. Hurley had put them in a situation so similar to this that it was now damn near calming to listen to his opponent mindlessly fire one shot after the next into a four-sided box of steel that had survived every change of season for the past 50 years. Back in the woods of Virginia, the idea was to find cover while Hurley fired live shots at you. And mind you, he didn't fire them safely over the horizon. He liked to hit things close to you. Not rocks or anything hard enough to cause a life-ending ricochet, but soft things like dirt, sandbags, and wood. The object of the lesson was to teach you what it felt like to be shot at, so you could keep your head when confronted with the real thing. As a bonus, you learned to count not just number the rounds you fired, but the number of rounds your opponent fired as well. At first, the exercise was unnerving, but after a while, as with most things in life, you adapted and got the hang of it. Really? I don't think I could get the hang of it. Stop! Camera, I'm reading. Rapp squatted, his back pressed firmly against the mailbox, and counted the number of shots, which had been 8 so far. He was waiting for the inevitable calm in the storm. There was a problem, however. While Rapp's pistols were equipped with silencers, the Libyan's gun was not. 8 extremely loud gunshots had rung out in the city with one of the lowest murder rates in the entire industrialized world. It might as well have been an artillery barrage. There was no telling how many extra magazines the Libyan had in his possession, but he doubted the man could match the 72 rounds Rapp carried. Rapp released the grip of his still-holstered Beretta and grabbed the big gray button on his Timex digital watch. Just as Hurley had taught him, it was set for a stopwatch mode. The average response time for a police car in a city of this size was roughly 3 minutes, and that was assuming there wasn't one nearby. There were rules that were flexible, and there were rules that couldn't be broken, and killing a police officer was one of those unbreakable rules. Hurley had told them, "If you kill a cop, I will kill you before they do." The first 8 shots had come in rapid succession. By the sound, they were 9mm or maybe .40 caliber at the most. Rapp never heard where the first one landed after it flew past his head, but the second shot had blown out the driver's side window of the white BMW parked a few feet away, which was now chirping and beeping like a car with Tourette syndrome. Oh my gosh! It's so true, though. My sister has Tourette syndrome. And that's literally the sound she makes. She makes that over and over again. Okay, I'm sorry. The next 6 had hit the mailbox. Not a smart move unless he had a second gun, and he was closing on him. Rapp thought that unlikely. Ismael was spooked and on the run, which in itself bothered Rapp. The drive from Zurich had been easy, just under 3 hours, counting a quick stop to call the answering service and confirm that the target was at his place of work. The file was straightforward. They were monitoring the calls he made at work. They knew where he lived and the make and model of his car. Hurley gave Rapp specific instructions. Tell Ismael after work and follow him to his apartment. If he comes out for an errand or an evening stroll and there's an opportunity, take him. If not, wait until morning and shoot him while he's getting into his car. Rapp had followed the instructions to the letter, and when Ismael bowed out of his apartment at 10:09 that evening, Rapp watched him around the corner and then pursued on foot. A block later, Rapp noticed that Ismael had a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. It was at that point that the wheels started to turn in Rapp's head. He asked himself if it was normal to leave your apartment on a crisp winter night when you should be getting into bed. It wasn't unheard of for someone to head out after 10, but it was far from common, especially on a Tuesday night. Throw in the overnight bag and you now had someone who might be running. That was pretty much what Rapp was thinking when Ismael pulled his lame matador move. That, and wondering if he could rush him at the next intersection, shoot him in the back of the head, and then be in France before midnight. Now, because he had failed to heed Hurley's warnings, he was crouched behind a mailbox, counting bullets and wondering if Ismael had 1 or 2 guns. One more shot thudded into the mailbox, and then there was a 2-second pause. Rapp stuck out his gloved hand to see if he could draw a shot. He pulled it back as a 10th bullet whistled harmlessly past. It sparked off the stone sidewalk and skipped down the street. Rapp thought he heard the clank of a slide locking in the open position, but he wasn't sure. A split second later, he heard the heavy footsteps of someone running. That was it. He was either reloading or out. Rapp drew the silenced Beretta from under his right arm and bolted between the 2 parked cars to his left. He stayed low, glancing over the roofs of the cars. He caught a glimpse of the Libyan as he took a left turn at the next corner. That put a smile on Rapp's face. Run all you want, he thought. The more distance we can put between us and those 10 muzzle blasts, the better. Rapp rounded the corner wide and fast, trying to keep the parked cars between himself and Ismael. They were on the left bank, or Riv Gauche, and Ismael was headed toward the Rhone. They had just turned off a street that was purely residential and onto one that was a mix of retail and apartments. The shops were all closed. Unfortunately, the sidewalk was deserted. Rapp stayed in the street and broke into a full sprint. Geneva, because it was wedged between 2 mountain ranges on one end and a lake on the other, was even more cramped than your standard European city. The streets were barely wide enough for 2 small cars to pass. An American SUV was out of the question. Ismael was a good 100 feet in front of him. Not an easy shot standing still, let alone running and aiming at a moving target. Rapp kept the pistol at his side. Long black coat, black pants, black shoes, and a black gun. Black on black. Nothing to see. He was gaining on Ismael with every stride, staying low. The top of his head was barely visible over the roofs of the vehicles, and then Ismael saw him as Rapp passed from one car to the next. There was now no more than 70 feet of separation, just over 20 yards. Either the man was really slow, or Rapp was really fast. Or probably both. I was about to say that if the book didn't. 60 feet in closing was the best Rapp could figure when they locked eyes. Rapp started to raise his pistol to fire, but before he had it leveled, Ismael was swinging the bag around, and then all hell broke loose. The bag exploded, spitting red-orange flashes on the dark street. Rapp turtled, dropping behind a nice piece of German steel. Counting shots was not an option with whatever it was in the overnight bag. The rate of fire told Rapp that it was probably an Uzi or a MAC-10. To the uninitiated, a gun was a gun, but in his new line of work, caliber was every bit as important as rate of fire. Since the Mercedes had no problem stopping the rounds, Rapp concluded it was a 9mm Uzi. If it had been the MAC-10, he would have felt the punch of the .45 caliber rounds as they penetrated the body and rattled around the interior of the car. Rapp glanced at his watch as glass rained down on him from the blown-out windows. He could picture in his mind's eye the Libyan backing up as he laid down fire. The Uzi he was firing used either 20, 32, or 40 round magazines. The 40 was unlikely because it probably wouldn't fit in the bag. And if it was the 20, he would be done already. So that meant it was 32 rounds, and he was almost out. And once Rapp heard the click, it would be over. There was no way the guy could pull a weapon like that out of a bag and reload it before Rapp was on him. The bullet stopped, the noise replaced by a half-dozen car alarms that were now chirping and beeping and screeching and flashing. Rapp came up with his weapon this time, his finger on the trigger ready to fire. Ismael was gone. Rapp caught a glimpse of him farther down the block and tore off, again staying in the street so he could use the cars for cover. The clock in his head was marking time as he pressed his advantage. He closed again to within 60 feet. Ismael looked over his shoulder, raised the bag, and let loose another burst. Rapp went into a crouch behind a car but kept moving. Rapp couldn't be sure if it was a 4 or 5 round burst, but it had stopped, and Ismael was on the run again. Rapp, thinking the gun was out of bullets, or close to being out, ran tall now, more worried about speed than cover. Ismael made it to the corner and turned left. Rapp stayed wide again, and when he cleared the corner, he came upon the unwelcome sight of Ismael standing there with his left arm wrenched around a woman's throat. Rapp didn't look at her. He didn't want to look at her. Old, young, fat, skinny, none of it mattered. Ishmael's right hand was still in the duffel bag, gripping the Uzi, which might or might not be out of bullets. Ismael started screaming at him to drop his weapon or he would kill the woman. Rapp continued to close as he had been taught. His pistol was up, ready in front of his face. Directly in front of his face, an extension of his left eye, which was attached to his brain, which was still counting the seconds and telling him to finish this and get the hell out of there. So this guy just grabbed a random woman off the street. The woman was now screaming, and for the first time, Rapp noticed she had a small dog. What is with Flynn and including dogs in these dangerous scenarios? This is the third person Rapp has been sent after. And the third person Rapp has been sent after also has a dog. Hamdi, a little, wiener dog? Dachshund? The poodles? And now this. Okay, I'm sorry. Rant over. Rapp noticed she had a small dog on a leash that was yipping and snapping at Ishmael's legs. He had no doubt that Ishmael would kill the woman, but what purpose would it serve? If Ishmael had any bullets left in that gun, he would turn it on Rapp right now and zip him with a nice burst to the chest. If he shot the woman, he was a dead man, and he didn't want to die, as he had proven very loudly over the last half-minute. His only way out of this was to kill the man who had been chasing him. He was nicely shielded by the woman. All he had to do was swing the bag around and unload. Rapp stopped at 20 feet and decided that since Ishmael hadn't taken aim at his chest, he was bluffing. In the end, it was the dog that tilted things in Rapp's favor. Ishmael wisely tried to create some distance between them by stepping back. What he didn't know, because he hadn't bothered to look down, was that the little yipping dog had run a couple of circles around them, and his leash had formed a nice little lasso around the Libyan's ankles. Ishmael stumbled and jerked to his left to catch himself. For a brief second, the side of his head was clearly visible. Rapp was now only 20 feet away. He squeezed the trigger once, and that was all it took. How do you feel about dogs now, Mitch? Mitch wanted to... I love that. I love it. Mitch was. Mitch, you like dogs now, right? Come on. Dogs are great. The dog saved his owner, right? Yeah. Oh, that's why he included a dog and everything. Oh my god, I love it. I like it because he's using the dogs as props in the book. The first dog did nothing, so he's just like, he's just a dog, whatever. Then you bring in the poodles, and you're like, oh, more dogs, that's fine. And then he uses the poodles for something, and then he brings in this little yipping dog. And you're like, oh, another dog, what's up with this? And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna use the dog as a prop again. I love it. That's so good. Okay, so Rap succeeded in taking out Ismael, although that was a little bit more messy than his last times. So this next chapter, chapter 46, is kind of long, so I'm gonna separate it into another video. But I thoroughly enjoyed the last few paragraphs of that chapter. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.